Hello everyone, welcome to Gradeup, welcome to your mock test analysis. Today of course should be our final session before you take CAT 2020 and all the best to all of you. Use today's session to just relax and look back on what you've learned, and if you make mistakes, find out where did I make the mistake and don't worry about it. The purpose of today's class is just to help you think of the VARC section, but not not get all tensed and stressed out. So the key for today's class is just sit back, read at your comfortable level and start answering questions, ask doubts. Let's make this a relaxed session. All right. How many of you in? Give me a heads up. As you know, we are into the 5th year. Gradeup had 5th anniversary. It's 5 years since Gradeup started, and on the occasion of our 5th anniversary, we have a 5th anniversary sale where the most popular course of product of Gradeup, which is our Gradeup Super, the subscription is coming to you with a huge discount. Hello Sai Harish. So this is an opportunity for you to think and decide on taking it. I would, because it's coming at a very good rate for all of you. Class has been advanced from 9:30 to now. 9:30 is a little too late. I don't think many people who have the first slot tomorrow would really be looking at preparations at 9:30 p.m. We thought this is a better time for it. I hope everyone has got notification and we do have enough number of students attending the session. For those of you who know me, of course, there's some of you who do not. My name is Savitri Krishnamurty. I am a VARC, group discussion, interviews, personality development and communication skills expert. I have been teaching all this and test prep for the last 26 years or more, and yeah, it has been a fantastic 26 years. I have been taking CAT for 25 or 26 years. That's how I think about it. Every time you take CAT or I take CAT, it feels like I'm preparing for CAT, and every time the results are out, I say you would get into IIM ABC once. I feel the joy of an IIM ABC admission many times over. So here's wishing you, me, all of us the best of luck, because in your success lies our success. So if you do well, we will do well. And the whole purpose of, I do not know other industry, but the test prep industry, the whole purpose is to see that its students succeed. You're here with us for a year, for 6 months, for 3 months. We try to see if those 3 months we give you the best bargain, right? You must, of course, have followed our revision series. There are a few more. Pranav's evening classes coming up, what you should carry to the test tomorrow. Make sure you do all that. Plus, of course, the last minute mock analysis and last minute analysis of all the faculty would be going on. And restreaming of lot of these sessions will also be going on. So pick up a session that you would like to see and just watch it in a very relaxed manner. All right. Hello Dhruv. Hello Akanksha. That is something you want to do. Now remember, tomorrow we are there for you right after the first slot. The first session ends at 10:30 and Gradeup will go live at 10:45 with our analysis of shift 1. Shift 2, our analysis is at 2:45, and shift 3, the analysis is at 6:45. We of course have the best, I will not even call him one of the best people in charge, VJJU'S, and will be assisted by Pranav Pant. He is fantastic. He gives the most incisive analysis of exams. He's been doing it so many times and has been bang on with his predictions of cutoffs. So you should watch it. Do not miss it. Half an hour I do not know, as so basically they will be analyzing it, and as they get inputs we'll be taking it. So half an hour, 40 minutes. You can watch it after it's done, but try to watch it live. The moment your slot is done, watch it. All of you have got phones, so you can log in on your phones. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and tune in to Gradeup app, and you can watch the live analysis from 10:45. The moment your slot is done, sit in the car, sit on your bike, wherever, and watch it if you're not riding it, of course. All right, so we will do it the same way. Again, the advice to all of you is, today's class is a relaxed session. There is no great analysis that I'm going to do. I've just picked up 2 passages, a few para-jumbles and summary questions, so that we just revise some of the concepts that we have done. But I will stick to that process of about a minute per slide. Read it, simplify it in your own words, and then we'll move on to the next slide. Your time for the first slide starts now. Next slide. Next slide. All right. So now, I think you have a very good idea what the passage is about, but I still will give you 30 seconds per slide to quickly summarize to yourselves what you have read and move on. Do that quickly. 30 seconds each. Whatever you want to read a second time. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, all right. So now at this point you know roughly the subject, roughly even the main point, and the tone in terms of positive, negative or neutral. Start with the first question. If this was cat, how would you answer it? Which of the following is true regarding Jane Austen's novels? Regarding Jane, no the there. Do you want me to take you back to the passage? Then quickly tell me which slide. Otherwise, if you remember, mark the answer. Sai Harish says B. What about the rest? Abhirami also thinks it's B. You need to know the meaning of bucolic. They normally use a big word to confuse you. Belonging to the village, pastoral, rural. That is the meaning of bucolic. All right, we will discuss this answer. Next one. Oh, okay. All right, next slide. Which of the following is excuse me, is an inference you can draw from Roy and Leslie Adkins' view on life in the 19th century England? They talked about life in the 19th century England. The first part of the passage talked about Jane Austen. The new book by Roy and Adkins talks about England. So which of the following is an inference you can draw from that book and the life depicted in that book? Good, I'll take you back. I was thinking that nobody would ask that. Right, so first part is not the one. Second slide. Okay, done reading the second slide? Done reading it? Shall I take you back to the question? Which is an inference? What can you draw? What inference can you draw from Roy and Adkins' view of life in the 19th century? Look at all the three options, all the four options, and decide which one it is. Quickly, just mark. You've read the paragraph again. Would need you to understand the meaning of squalor, right, to know the answer. All right, let's move to the next question. The author's attitude towards Jane Austen and her work. The author's attitude towards Jane Austen and her work. He has described Jane Austen in the first slide. again in the last part of the last slide. So what is the author's attitude? Mark the question number, Rahul. Okay, mark the question number so that I know what question you are answering. The first slide, what was his attitude, if you remember, and the last part, what did he say about Jane Austen, you remember. So based on that, decide which one, and then I'll take you back to the passage and we'll just look at which part of the passage should you see again. Remember, I made you read it twice, but that is not enough for you to cross check answers. So in the exam, you read it once or twice. I normally read it very fast once, that is called skimming, and then I say this passage doesn't look very friendly, let me go to the next one, or I'd say okay, I will do it. The last slide once, okay. So now when I read the question, I've got 4 options. What can you infer? And I know I can infer 2. Can I infer the third? I want to know. Then I go back to the passage, read that part and say, maybe I can or I can't, based on what I have read. That second time reading, you should do to cross check that your answer is correct. The first time that you read the passage should be quick but thorough. But you cannot rely on your memory to decide if it is option 1 or 2 in some questions like you've done. That would lead you to mistakes. Got it? All right. Shall we go back? Satirical, laudatory, critical, complaining. Now we need to know the meaning of the word satirical, right? And laudatory. Mark whatever, and then I'll just discuss with you quickly. Many of you have marked 3B, no, 2 only have marked B. Not seen many on the app. Quickly, guys. Sai, Harish, Durga, Sai, answers. Dhruvi has come up, okay. TA. No, Sai. You know the attitude. You know what was it. Based on your reading, what did you think? Do you think the author is positive where Jane Austen is concerned or negative? Just put P for positive, N for negative. Alright, let me just go back to the passage and do this. Alright, by the way, if you are not getting tone, don't worry too much. The biggest worry for students, ma'am, tone, I don't know. I was going back over the past CAT question papers. I and my good friend, colleague who works for another company, he's the head actually. So he called up and he said, Madam, can you count and tell me kitna bar tone aaya hai last so many years passage mein? It helps. But out of 400 odd questions that we looked at, 2 or 3 direct tone questions. It helped that the author is likely to support. So if you really don't know tone, nothing to cry about. Daro mat. That is the answer. It helps you decide other answers. That's why it's at least important to know positive, negative or neutral. If you go wrong there, you'll get a lot of other answers. Acha, look at the first part. He says that all these people, Walter Scott, Mackintosh, Whatley, Macaulay, must be in possession of the philosopher's stone. In olden days, philosopher's stone was seen to have magical properties. It can change any metal into gold. So they had some magical quality about them. But he is talking about she. And later we know she is Jane Austen. She took the common dross of humanity. Dross means something which is very common, very ordinary. Okay. And she changed it into pure gold. Okay. Like Shakespeare, she did everything wonderful about her writing. So first paragraph is all about Jane Austen and praise of Jane Austen. She did this, she was unconscious of her strength, her life passed calmly and smoothly. The lover of books will discover in this writer a perennial spring of enjoyment and satisfaction. So throughout the first slide or the first paragraph, the author says Jane Austen was like Shakespeare. She did so many wonderful things. She took ordinary situations, ordinary stories and changed them into gold. Second paragraph, he says there's a book which says she wrote about a period in English history, but the world she wrote about and the world that actually existed in Jane Austen's England in reality were totally different. And in reality, this was what England was like when Jane Austen lived. Children worked in coal mines, prisoners were punished very badly by having their body hang in the public, it's called bidet, a public hanging place for many days and things like that. And the streets were filled with horse dung and even human excrement, and people had to scrape. So it was so dirty and life was hard, it was dirty. All right, this is the England in reality where Jane Austen lived. Last part, he says again, Jane Austen's world was very different from our own, but how is it that centuries later we are reading her and are still happy? Because although she lived 2 centuries ago, the society she depicts in her novels is surprisingly familiar. When you read it for the first time, guys, just roughly tell yourself, first paragraph kya tha? About Jane Austen, talks good things about Jane Austen. Second paragraph kya tha? England in those days, what was it like? Third paragraph, what is it? It's that upper class was also not immune from squalor, means dirt, dirtiness. That is the meaning of squalor. They were also dirty. So dirt had nothing to do with money. Even the rich British were dirty. Last paragraph, but even though she lived 2 centuries back, she's still relevant. The picture she depicted is very familiar. We can relate to what she wrote. So he is praising Jane Austen, and the first paragraph he praises her a lot. Next he is asking which of the following is true. That means it's a direct question. There is no inference. Her stories rarely have any element of extravagance and flamboyance. She talked about high society, polite society, wonderful clothes, sartorial elegance. So you can't say her stories rarely have any elements of extravagance and flamboyance. Second, yes, her characters all belong to the polite society. That means high and privileged. Second is correct. We do not know if her characters are more bucolic or rural in nature. Nothing about that has been written. Her characters strive for worldliness. Are they working for that? They belong to the high society. Does that mean they strive for refinement? Many of her characters are refined. So A, C and D are wrong. Only B is correct. So the answer for 1 is B. Got it? The first part he has said here. There's nothing. It's all there in the passage. Here. Jane Austen wrote, her life seemed to meander through the English meadows. Doesn't mean that her characters meandered through the English lessons. All right. So here he says, though she was preoccupied with creating characters of the landed gentry, the rich people, she can still speak to us. So she did not say all those things that you said they did. Got it? So only correct answer is B. If you're not sure, ek baar check each of the answers. Did he say anything about her stories not being extravagant or flamboyant? Go back and see. Has he used any word or any synonym of these words? She hasn't said that. You understand? Her story is about the polite society. Her story is about the landed gentry. That's all he has said. Got it? Her characters are rural in nature. Nowhere. He has mentioned the English meadows, but says her stories flow as smoothly as a river flowing through the English meadows or something like that. But he's not told anything about her characters belonging to those meadows. fields, right? So answer is B. Why? If you got it wrong, why did you get it wrong? Because you did not cross check. You have to go back and cross check. Don't panic, stay calm, and when you look at a book, just read the option. Don't be lazy. If you're lazy, you'll mark the wrong answer. Second one, what is the inference you can draw from Roy and Leslie Atkins' view? Just go back to this para. All right. First para, it said that she wrote about, she didn't say anything. First paragraph, nothing about her book. From here. It said she wrote about the respectable world of Austen's polite society. So, first inference is Austen wrote about polite society. Okay. He talked, the flamboyance he's talking about is sartorial, to do with clothes. Sartorial. That means if you read any Jane Austen novels, she describes the clothes in great detail. All right. So, Jane Austen's books were about the polite society, the rich people of England at that time, balls and parties and wonderful clothes. But how was life? One, children toiled in coal mines or up chimneys. Men were forcibly asked to join the navy or serve on navy ships and fight brutal battles. The wives and daughters of the poor were sold in the marketplaces. The streets of the world were dirty. The streets of England were very dirty with horse dung and human excrement. And travelers could see criminals executed and their bodies still hanging on a gibbet. All right. And even people who were buried were not safe, because grave robbers would take a dead body out of the grave and give the body to surgeons. England had some of the best breakthroughs in medicine. Scotland actually more, because they did a lot of medical research. So this happened. So there was also the grave diggers. Okay, all these points you remember. Okay, while she wrote about one part of the world, and another thing, the next part he said that even the upper class was dirty, not immune from squalor. Why? Because there was no soap, no shampoo, no deodorant, no toothpaste. So they must have had terrible bad breath. So they also were not clean. So Jane Austen's world was very different from the England she lived in, and it also was very different from our world. That's what he said. Now we are discussing, Sandeep, we are discussing one mock test. We've already read a passage. So what can you infer about it? Jane Austen's England in the books and the real England was very different. Yes or no? A is definitely true. She wrote about a world. The actual world is what Roy and Atkins described. Second, true, criminals were left hanging on gibbets. Third, upper class were also naughty. That's what I said. Those who thought of B did not think of all of the above because of C. He mentioned the upper class was not immune to squalor. So the answer is D. All of the above are correct. Mock test, free mock test 4 is what I am discussing, Sandeep, the first passage. And the first passage had mostly direct questions, so something which everybody should have attempted. Now, what is the author's attitude towards Jane Austen's work? First paragraph compares Jane Austen to Shakespeare, so first paragraph is praising. Second paragraph talks of another book, doesn't talk of Jane Austen. Last paragraph again says, though she wrote 2 centuries back, she is still relevant, she is still familiar. So he is praising, and the other word for praising is laudatory. What is satirical? Scornful, mocking, laughing at somebody, making fun of somebody, putting them down. That is satirical. Sarcasm with a twisted humor is satirical. Critical is when you are criticizing or you are looking at something with a view to finding faults. He is not doing that. He has praised. What is his attitude towards Jane Austen in particular, he is asking. He is not asking view of England in those days. He is just asking of Jane Austen. And he has not complained about Jane Austen at all. In fact, he says, why is she still relevant? She is still relevant. That's what he is saying. Understood? All right, shall we do one more passage or shall we first do the para-jumbles? We'll do the para-jumbles and summaries, and if we have the time, only then we will do we'll come back to the second passage, which is also direct, easy passage. All it takes is for you to concentrate for 5-10 minutes. It will be fine. All right, solve this. Oh, sorry. Solve the para-jumble. I hope you didn't see the answer. Solve the para-jumble in 1 minute 15 seconds. If you've already seen it and done it before, this is a 20 past question paper para-jumble. If you've already done it before, give yourself less time. Try to find out which sentence seems to start the sequence, which are two go together. As you are reading the passage, use a rough paper to decide the order, change the order if you think it doesn't work. Everything as you are reading the passage. All right. I hope so, Rishi. More than enough, I hope. Now, once you decide on an order, yes, Manoj, I saw your answer. Once you decide on an order, please check once again, read the sentences in the order in which you have put it. The Klink station in Greenland, close to the summit of the ice sheet, recorded minus 69.2 on December 22nd, 91, a substantially lower reading than the minus 67.8 recorded in Verkhoyansk in Russia in February 1892 and Russia's Oymyakon site in January. The coldest temperature ever recorded in the northern hemisphere just got colder thanks to the work of climate detectives of the World Meteorological Organization. Sounds like a very good starting, right? It just got colder. That means coldest temperature you have decided was X, but just now we found out that that coldest temperature recorded is not coldest. There's something, it is colder than the coldest. Second, how searching through the World Meteorological Organizational archives of heat records from weather stations at the top of the world, researchers found the cold temperature reading came from an automatic weather station in Greenland in midwinter about 30 years ago, nearly 2 degrees centigrade colder than the previous known records. And then he will expand on that reading. Since he mentioned automatic weather station in Greenland, obviously one will come up. The Klink station in Greenland, close to the summit, recorded minus 69, which is lower than minus 67.8 in the two places in Russia. Then sum up by saying all three, that is the Klink station in Greenland and this place in Russia and this place in Russia. All three are exceptional for the northern hemisphere, but beaten to the coldest ever recorded on the planet is this much, where at Vostok weather station in Antarctica. Alright, so answer is 2, 3, 1, 4. Yeah, 1, 4 is a definite sequence, 2 is a very good starting and 3 goes after 2. All right, good. So when you're doing parajumbles, not always, but generally examples occur together. And when you write a passage, how would you write it? You would first introduce the topic and then give a specific example. The example followed by a general point is rare, right? Yes, at least one RC. If they give you 3 RCs, 2 RCs will be easy. All right. And if the RCs are difficult, the questions are easy. So look at it like that. Okay. So when you are reading the passage the first time, it looks hard, go to the next one, which may look easier. And if you are coming back to the hard passage, remember, whatever you understand of the passage is enough. The questions generally are easy for a tough passage. Question 8. Which is a good starting, Rishi? Link may be correct, but which one seems to be the best? Remember, the most general introduction to a subject, a very general statement which just mentions the topic for the first time, is likely to be the starter. So I would look at it as 3. The UN is marking its 17th anniversary. As the post-World War II global order which created it is on shaky foundations. Why is it on shaky foundations? Multilateralism is in serious disarray, as the former UN General Secretary Ban Ki-moon has observed. Right? Does that work better? Then again, how is multilateralism in disarray? Here you have Donald Trump, who is thumbing its nose at making US thumb its nose at all multilateral agreements. And China has become the latest supporter. So 3, 1, 4, 2. China has become the new supporter of the UN, but growing Chinese influence comes at a price. Okay, China doesn't do anything straightforward. It's a slimy, sneaky, full of slimy, sneaky politicians. They do things too. So he's saying with growing Chinese influence, you always need to know that there is this. Okay? Pardon? No, 2 reasons. Multilateralism is in serious disarray, and this guy, how? 1 and 4 are definitely connected, which shows why Donald Trump is making the United States deny, refute, nullify all multilateral agreements that the US had signed earlier, like the Paris Climate Accord, the Iranian nuclear deal. So that is how multilateralism is in disarray. 1 and 4 definitely work together. And then 2 ends by talking, because 4 ends by talking of China's support to the UN, 2 ends on a cautionary note saying, but growing Chinese influence comes at a price. China will now dictate what it wants in the UN. Whoever gives money to the United Nations will try to, since I am giving the money, I will dictate how it should be run. Now it is the United States, very soon it might be China. That's what he's saying. So he's saying China is supporting the United Nations, not less like that. It obviously has an ulterior motive. So he's just mentioned that. So it is 3142. Okay. How would you answer a summary question? Again, for a summary question, please do not look at the options. If it says choose the option that best captures the essence of the passage, if you look at the options without understanding the passage, all the options will look similar, identical to you. So read the passage, and as you read the passage, try to identify the main point and the other points. Then look at an option which covers all the main points. The summary has to be built around the main points. It should not have any outside information, or it should not misrepresent any fact. So they play with the words in the summary. In the passage, he would say something. In the summary, he'd say something else using the same words. So you have to be careful not to fall into that trap. You assume that you will get a higher score than that, but just the main thing is to focus and maximize your scores tomorrow. The anxiety of how am I going to do, what am I going to do is going to tell on your performance. So don't, when you go there, just enjoy the exam. Say, okay, I'm going to give it my best, jo hoga hoga. If you do that, then the pressure on you is less. All right. So I'm going to take the test tomorrow, and it's very embarrassing for me. I don't like it because I say, oh my God, I'm standing here in line. So I'm going to behave like, okay, nobody knows me and I know nobody. Then only I can give my best in the exam. The moment I'm conscious of who I am. Prejudice means bias. Judging somebody without knowing all the facts. Having an opinion about somebody beforehand is prejudice. Judging beforehand or being biased. All right, so the moment your slot is done, open, and you of course can't carry your phones into the hall. Once you're done and you can access your phone, open the Gradeup app and see our analysis, watch our analysis. All right, what is the answer for 9? Some answers are in. Did you actually read? You seemed at first to take no notice of your school fellows, rather to set yourself against them because they were strangers to you. You didn't notice, you didn't like your classmates because they were strangers to you. They knew as little of you as you did of them, so they also kept aloof from you. You both kept aloof from each other because you were strangers. All right. Second, don't have a bias, don't judge people, don't have a negative opinion about people because you know nothing about them. I don't know anything about him, so he must be bad. If you take that attitude, he says, then half the world will be bad because you don't know everybody in the world. So without knowing a person, don't judge him. Don't think bad of them till they really behave badly with you. And next, even when you see their faults, do not notice those faults and disarm their hostility with your friendliness. All right, this will disarm their hostility sooner than any other approach. So if you know the faults of a person, ignore those faults and go ahead with your friendship with that person. That will make things better. So which option has all the points? Second one. All right, very good. I have the second slot, but the center is more than an hour's drive from my house. So yeah. All right. Okay, now we do not expect para completion, but should you get a question where the directions tell you in the passage the last line is missing, choose the one that completes the paragraph and key in your answer. If they say choose the option that completes the paragraph, what should you do? Should you get this question, read the paragraph just like you would read the summary passage, summarize it in your own words just like you would the summary of passage, and then identify the theme. The summary will give you the theme of the passage. What is the theme here? It's about whatever. All right. Now, taking the theme and the last line and the tone, is it positive? Then the last line will also be positive. Based on that, look at which one would go. If it is theta, then parajumbles will not have any negative marking as long as you have to type in the answers. So, Rishi, you might be okay at odd one out. Parajumbles are easy. You cannot say you're weak in parajumbles. There is no such thing. In parajumbles, the only problem with you, which all of us face in the exam, is that what's wrong with my age? I'm only 20 plus. Yeah, the only problem with parajumbles is we don't give it enough time, and because we leave it right to the end. Acha, theta question hai, baad mein karunga. So you leave it to the last 5 minutes, and most of the time, and this is with anybody and everybody, even if Shakespeare took the exam, if he tries to attempt parajumbles in the last 5 minutes, the accuracy will obviously be down, right? So do the easiest questions first, and in the theta questions, the summary and odd one out parajumbles would be easy. If you are good and strong at para completion, there is a para completion question, finish it. The last 5 minutes, leave it to the non-option 5-sentence parajumbles, the hardest ones, where you generally make mistakes, where the accuracy percentage of students is around 50%. Do that in the end. Anywhere there is no negative marking for it, but make sure that you read the question paper where they mention that, you know, if you type in the answer, there is no negative marking. Everything will be given in the instructions at the beginning of the exam. All right. I am making a great sacrifice for y'all by taking the test, because I want to know what the test is like, so that I can analyze the test. I can become a better teacher next time when I teach you something. I put myself in your shoes. No mock test can actually simulate the exact exam condition. So only the actual exam would give the teacher a feel of the exams, which is why Gradeup insists that we take the test. See, the words that are used in the complete the passage should be, the language, the tone should be identical to the passage, right? So which one do you think completes the passage? Evening slot, Harish, if you are in the last slot, one thing is generally people start worrying, oh, so many people have already taken it. You listen to the analysis, somebody says paper tough tha. So you just start, you know, it just increases your anxiety. So while it's okay to, you know, roughly see what is the pattern, how many questions and things like that, don't watch too much of it. Don't be obsessed by all the analysis. That way you will be fine. All right. Okay. Questions, answer for 10. Started with Mexico. All right. He says that Mexico is rich with plants and tubers and all, but they are not and apparently never were cultivated. There are many things in Mexico that they use which are not cultivated in Mexico, and the same is reported from Guatemala. He says that when the potato came to Mexico, it was the Peru-Bolivian potato which was imported and grown there. So the original potato that was used in Mexico, we do not know. Second part, he says that the Navajo Indians of southwestern United States still boil and roast the small tubers of 2 wild species. So based on this, what do you think the last line would talk about? History of the potato, is he talking? He is only talking of the potato not being cultivated in Mexico, though it's eaten a lot. And certain Navajo Indians still use the wild species that grows naturally, cannot be one. So the option should at least talk about potatoes not being cultivated, or why they were not cultivated, or something about these people. 1 is out, 3 is out. Would it be 2 or would it be 4? Generally in summaries, 2, I mean none of the above, unless it's a very, very lazy question setter, they won't give you none of the above in a summary. I do not know why. All right, thank you for all those wonderful compliments. I hope and pray that all of you do well. Stay calm. You've prepared really, really well. At least the number of YT sessions I have taken and you have attended. I can see the same names. So take the test, enjoy the test, be focused. Remember, in reading comprehension, the key to success in reading comprehension is how well you read the passage. If you panic, or if you say cat, the timer is going off and things like that, you start panicking. The other thing is, it's a 40-minute per slot exam. So in the 40 minutes that are there, 25 minutes of the test, do it at your pace, as in whatever pace you have set for yourself, where you are maximizing your scores in a mock test. 25 minutes that. So then your accuracy will be very high for the first 25 minutes. After that, see what are the options left for you and start doing it. If there are TETA questions, we think there will be, those are the only questions you should leave for the last 5 minutes, because as everybody will tell you, not just us, any teacher at Gradeup will tell you, we have figured out that accuracy falls in the last 5 minutes, because you know that the bell's going to ring, they're going to take you off to the next section, so time is going to be up, so you start panicking, and then your probability of you making the mistakes would be greater. I wouldn't know high time, but you also have to be, they won't allow, are they allowing watches? Only analog watches. So again, it's, you have to have an idea of the time. I would prefer the timer there, so I can know how much time is going on. They won't allow you to take your cell phone in. I don't think they'll allow you to take your watch in either. So how will you know the time? And every 2 minutes you won't click and see, right? You can't click and see. Yeah, so you need to know the time, right? So yeah, so all the best. Whatever slot you are in the first slot, then make sure you sleep early, don't stay up all night, don't get stressed about anything, stay calm, stay focused. And VARC is easy. Like I keep telling you, you can read English, you can do English comprehension. If the paper looks anything like the 2019 paper, the student who sent me the message after CAT 2019 saying English Latin mein tha, English Greek mein tha, he got the 99 plus percentile. Despite complaining that English was like Greek, English was like Latin, I think I did miserably. Why is CAT like this? I'm going to sue them. This, that. So if the paper is hard, it will be hard for everybody, but the questions will be easy. And if the passage is easy, they'll try to make the options close. So you need to, don't be overconfident if the passage is easy. Cross check. Like what you did today on what is he saying about Jane Austen. If they ask like that, then just summarize to yourselves. So the first time that you read the passage, whatever time you're spending, you spend an equal amount of time when you eliminate options. That is important. Some of you are in a hurry to mark the options. That is not a smart thing to do, in the sense that your accuracy goes down, so it will be like those monkeys going up 2 steps, coming down 1 step. All right. Oh yeah, I'm taking the test only to know the paper. So all the best to all of you. Yes, all the best to me too. As I told you, in your success lies our success. So all of you do well, and do watch the analysis the moment your slot is done. Those of you who are in the last slot, you can just look at how many questions, what type, what kind, so that you can prepare for it, but don't watch it obsessively. Oh, first passage was on politics, then my passage will also be on politics. Mujhe politics pata nahi, what will I do? Don't do all that. Just look at the overall pattern of the paper, look at the overall analysis, and things like Vijay would tell you, spending this much time on this set would be easy. So those, he sums it up at the beginning and sums it up at the end. Just watch those 2 slots, and after that, just rest and relax. All right. Okay. So take care, all of you. All the best. Best of luck to each and every one of you. A little nervousness is okay, Sai Harish. A little nervousness is okay. Butterflies in the stomach is absolutely okay. but don't let it be so much that you cannot read the paper, cannot focus on it. Okay, a little bit of nervousness is okay. It should not be so overpowering that you cannot read what's happening, see what's happening. All right, okay, bye bye.